I thought life would keep treating me like background noise, ordinary, predictable, unnoticed. But the day he walked into my dorm, the air itself seemed to betray me, thick with something I wasn't ready to name. His name was Adrian, the transfer student everyone kept whispering about. An alpha, the kind of presence you feel before you even turn your head. And me, I was just a beta. That's what I had always believed. What I had always settled into, invisible, manageable, safe. But when his eyes landed on me for the first time in that crowded hallway, my chest tightened like I had swallowed fire. At first, I tried to laugh it off. Betas don't get swept up in alpha's gravity. That's what the textbooks say, what the campus gossip insists. But no textbook could explain the way my pulse betrayed me, or why my palms went damp every time he walked past me with that casual stride. Like the world had been built to make space for him. Our dorm was buzzing with his arrival. Guys pretended not to care but craned their necks anyway. Girls giggled outside his door. And everyone wanted to be part of his orbit. Everyone except me. Or at least, that was the performance I tried to keep up. The truth was, I couldn't stop noticing the way his laugh carried through the thin walls. Low and rich. The way his cologne lingered in the hallway long after he was gone, stirring something restless in me. The way he seemed untouchable. Yet his gaze, when it did lock with mine, was sharp enough to cut through every layer of armor I had. The first time we actually spoke was almost comical. I had dropped my coffee outside the vending machine at midnight, cursing under my breath, when his shadow fell over me. "You always talk to your coffee like that." His voice was amused, teasing, but not unkind. I looked up too fast, nearly choking on my words. "You betrayed me." The corner of his mouth lifted, and just like that, the vending machine incident became the start of something I didn't know how to fight against. He helped me clean up the mess, his fingers brushing mine for a second longer than necessary. And my heart slammed in my chest like it was trying to break free. After that, Adrian had a way of appearing in places I didn't expect him. Sitting across from me in the library, holding the dorm door open when I was fumbling with my bag, casually leaning against the wall outside my evening class. Always with that same mix of ease and intensity that left me dizzy. And then one night, it shifted. The fire alarm went off in the dorm's false alarm, but enough to push everyone out into the cold night air. I was shivering in my thin t-shirt when I felt a jacket draped over my shoulders. His jacket. The scent of leather and pine wrapped around me before I could even protest. "You'll freeze," he said simply, standing close enough that the warmth of his body brushed against mine. I wanted to give it back. To insist I didn't need it, that I wasn't weak. But the truth was, I didn't want to let it go. Not the jacket. Not him. Not the way he was looking at me like he had already read the secret I'd been too afraid to admit to myself. From that night on, something unspoken thrummed between us. Growing stronger. Undeniable. And I hated it because alphas weren't supposed to look twice at betas. Betas weren't supposed to want alphas this badly. It wasn't written in any rulebook. But the hierarchy was stamped deep into everyone's head. Alphas chose omegas. That was how the world worked. So why was he still here? Why was he still choosing me? The question burned every time his hand brushed mine in passing. Every time his knee bumped against mine under the cafeteria table. Every time his eyes lingered too long. Like he was waiting for me to break first. And maybe I did. Maybe I broke the night he cornered me in the study room. Late and empty except for us. "You keep running from me," he said, his voice lower than I'd ever heard it. His arm braced against the wall near my head. His body close but not touching. "Why?" My throat tightened. "Because you're an alpha. And I'm just a beta." His eyes flashed, sharp but aching at the edges. Is that all you think you are? The silence between us was unbearable. My chest rose and fell too fast, my heart clawing against every wall I had built. His words landed deeper than I wanted to admit, peeling back everything I had used to protect myself. And before I could answer, his hand slid from the wall to my jaw, gentle but unyielding, tilting my face toward his. I should have pushed him away. I should have reminded him of the roles we were meant to play. But the truth was I didn't want to. For the first time, I let myself imagine it. Let myself feel the fire of his closeness. The possibility of being seen not as just a beta, but as something more. Someone worth choosing. But love, if that's what this was, never comes without consequences. And I knew the world outside that study room wouldn't accept what was happening in here. The fallout came faster than I expected. Word spread like wildfire, carried on whispers and side glances. Maybe someone had seen us in that study room. Maybe the jacket I had been caught wearing wasn't as subtle as I thought. Whatever it was, by the end of the week the dorm halls felt colder, lined with judgment I hadn't asked for. Betas don't belong with alphas, one guy muttered as I walked past, his voice low but aimed to pierce. Another snickered. Guess someone's aiming too high. Each word dug into me, sharp reminders of the walls society had built between us. I tried to retreat into old habits, keeping my head down, blending in, pretending I didn't care. But Adrian never let me fade away. He was bold where I was afraid. He walked beside me in the cafeteria line as if nothing had changed, sat next to me in lectures with his arm thrown casually over the back of my chair, even pulled me into conversations where I wanted to disappear. Every gesture felt like a declaration. I see you. You matter. And yet, at night, the doubts clawed back. This can't last. I whispered to myself more than once, staring at the ceiling in the dark. He'll realize. He'll wake up one day and see that I'm not enough. But Adrian had this way of breaking through my silence. He showed up at my door one night, eyes burning with something I couldn't name. You keep waiting for me to leave, he said, his voice steady, almost pained. But I'm not going anywhere. Do you hear me? I chose you. I keep choosing you. The words struck me like a current, and for the first time, I let them in. We grew closer after that, the space between us shrinking until I couldn't imagine a day without him. We studied together, argued over movies, stayed up too late talking about futures that felt both terrifying and possible. And when his hand found mine, sometimes in crowded rooms, sometimes in quiet, Anisi stopped pulling away. But love doesn't erase fear. The pressure of eyes, of whispers, of an entire system stacked against us still weighed heavy. The night it almost broke me was at a campus party. I had gone reluctantly, dragged along by a friend, only to find Adrian already there, surrounded by people. Girls clung to him, guys slapped his back, and the room buzzed with his presence. I told myself it was fine, that this was who he was, magnetic, untouchable. But when one Omega leaned in close, brushing her lips against his ear as she whispered something that made him laugh, I felt something inside me crack. I left before he could see, pushing past the bodies and music, the night air slicing sharp against my skin. I didn't make it far before his voice caught me. Wait. He grabbed my arm, spinning me to face him. His eyes searched mine, desperate. Don't run from me. Not again. Why shouldn't I? My voice broke, bitter and raw. You're an alpha, Adrian. You could have anyone, should have anyone. So why me? Why keep fighting for someone who isn't even meant for you? His jaw clenched, his grip tightening on my arm just enough to ground me. "Because you see me," he said fiercely. "Not the alpha. Not the transfer everyone stares at. Me. And maybe the world thinks that's not enough reason, but I do. I don't care what they say. I don't care if it doesn't fit the rules. I want you." The silence between us was thick, trembling. My chest heaved, my mind screaming with every fear I'd been taught to hold. But then his hand moved, sliding from my arm to my cheek, his thumb brushing away the tear I hadn't realized had fallen. And I broke. I let him kiss Met here in the middle of the street, under the harsh glow of a streetlight, while the echoes of the party spilled out behind us. His lips were warm, grounding, certain in a way I had never been. And in that moment, I realized something terrifying and beautiful. I wanted to believe him. The weeks that followed weren't easy. The whispers didn't stop. Some friendships grew cold. Professors looked at me with quiet disapproval, and the weight of being different pressed down every day. But Adrian's presence was unshakable, his loyalty stubborn. He was there in the small ways, sliding his coffee across the table when he knew I'd forgotten breakfast, waiting outside my class even when he had somewhere else to be, holding my hand under the table when the world felt too sharp. He was there in the bigger ways too, facing down the ones who mocked me, standing by me when I couldn't stand for myself. And slowly, I learned to stop shrinking. I learned that love wasn't about fitting into rules, but breaking the ones that kept us small. That maybe being just a beta had always been a lie I told myself, one I could finally let go of. The night everything changed wasn't marked by fireworks or declarations, but something quieter, softer. We were lying on the dorm roof, wrapped in a blanket against the chill, the stars scattered above us. "Do you ever regret it?" I asked, my voice barely more than a whisper. "Choosing me?" Adrian turned his head, his gaze locking on mine with a steadiness that stole my breath. "Not once," he said. "The only thing I'd regret is if I let fear keep me from you." His words sank into me, warm and heavy, and for the first time, I let myself believe them. Fully, completely. I leaned into him, resting my head against his chest, and felt the steady rhythm of his heartbeat beneath my ear. For the first time in a long time, it matched mine. The world outside would keep talking. The whispers wouldn't stop overnight. But under the stars, wrapped in his arms, none of it mattered. Because I wasn't just a beta. Not anymore. I was someone he chose. Someone worthy of love. And that was enough. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.